If I could give anyone a piece of advice for divorce, it would be to not do it under normal circumstances. If your spouse is beating you or threatening you or your children, then of course, get out and fast. In my case, there was no abuse. We were together for 8 years. That was mostly good, and we have 4 kids. Right around 5 years, I got a promotion at work, and I got it in my head that my ex-husband was dragging me down, or at least holding me back from more success and a better life. We never had a lot of money, but with my promotion, I was now making more than he was. I started working longer hours, and at the same time, his hours were cut, so he was at home more. I really began to resent him because he was home and because he got to spend time with our kids. Most nights when I got home, they were already getting ready for bed, if not already sleeping. After a few months of my new job, it was clear to me that things were not going well at home without me there. Some nights the dishes weren't done when I got home, or the kids hadn't eaten, or whatever else I could think of to be mad at him about. It really didn't matter. He kept saying that he would try harder, but that it was hard being home all the time. That always made me really mad. For the next couple years, things kept getting worse. My hours weren't any shorter, and his were on and off full time. There was no convenient time for him to be working full time because of my hours, but we also needed the money. Whenever he would tell me that he could get extra hours, I would always complain. And the less hours he worked, the more I complained that he wasn't bringing in enough money. Whenever he brought up the contradiction, I would tell him that he needed to figure it out.
Oh, God.
I knew that it would bother him, so I started saying that a lot and for everything that I could. I really started to resent him, and I pulled away from him. I knew that it was hurting him, but I didn't care. If he didn't want to be hurt, then he would at least try to make me happy. I used that same thing to justify when I started to talk to another guy at work. He was just a friend, but talking at work turned into texting at home, and then pictures and videos, and then trying to sneak some alone time with him. I knew that it was wrong, but it made me feel so alive, and my husband had not made me feel like that in years. I was tired of being unhappy. I was doing this for me. The worst was the night I came home at a reasonable time and found that he had cleaned the whole house, cooked the whole family dinner, and picked out a movie for all of us.
He's a sweetheart.
Together. This would have made me swoon a couple years earlier, but that night I couldn't even look at him, and I pretended to be sick. I spent the rest of the night in bed while he waited on me and checked on me and even made me different food and brought it to me in bed. It made me feel terrible, and then it made me angry.
Wow.
At the end of the night, I was texting with the other guy. Over the next month or two from that night, he was wrong just for breathing most days. He would get so upset with how I was treating him, and I would just wait and egg him on into losing it because I knew it would happen eventually. After most of the fights we had, he would apologize. I even pretended that I didn't care when he found out about my relationship with the guy from work. It really destroyed me inside to see him holding back tears, but I wasn't going to let him see that. He was at his weakest, and that was when I chose to tell him that I wanted a divorce.
Oh,
I could almost hear his heart shattering inside his chest. I really wasn't interested in fixing our marriage, but I mostly ended things with the other guy, but only because I knew I could get it back if I wanted it. I could see that he was trying, and occasionally I would let him know. But for the most part, I kept being a huge to him for any and all reasons that I could think of. I'm not sure how much more the man could have done to make me happy besides finding a job that paid enough for me to not have to work at all. He said that he was looking, but looking and finding are two different things. I started saying awful things to him and even outright ignoring him. I was so confident with mine and everyone else's opinion that I contacted a lawyer and within a couple weeks had filed for divorce. It went pretty smoothly. The ex-husband didn't ask for much besides to not get divorced and to try to work it all out. I didn't care about that though. He was broken, but I was free. I could do whatever I wanted without having to feel any guilt or answer to anybody. It was an amazing feeling of freedom. It didn't last long though.
For the streets!
In the first month after he moved out, I missed garbage day 3 times. There was also rarely a single clean dish, and the laundry sat in piles so long that I had to start doing the sniff test to see if it could be worn again.
Oh, she's nasty.
I also never saw my kids more miserable.
Oh, she had them.
My oldest had seen some of the messages from the other guy months earlier, and she knew that the ex-husband still wanted to try to work it out. It didn't take her long to stop talking to me at all, except to say that she wanted to go to my ex-husband's house.
Yeah,
the others
they don't like you.
Told me they wanted to live with the ex-husband too. I did my best to try to make them happy, but I ended up just buying them toys all the time, and the happiness only lasted minutes. I also was having a lot of trouble with work. Being alone, I couldn't work all those extra hours that I was expected to. I finally gave in and started calling the ex-husband to watch the kids. He would always come over as soon as he could, and he always asked me if I needed anything. When I would get home, I would find clean dishes and laundry and even dinner sometimes. He would never say too much after I got home. He would just say to call him if I needed anything, and then he would leave. One night,
who is the saint?
Garbage and brought it to the curb because it was garbage night and I forgot again. He always looked so sad when it was time to go. Finally, after a couple months, my friends convinced me to go out on a date. It was for dinner and a movie, and I was excited and hopeful. But at dinner, I started getting a feeling of overwhelming guilt. It got so bad that I ended up not even going to the movie. A week and about 1 million tears later, I was on a therapist's couch. I told her everything.
You should have been on the couch.
The promotion that I got at work. She did not agree with me or with any of the encouragement to divorce that I got. I ended up in her office 2 and sometimes 3 times a week. And the more that I talked to prove that I was right, the more that I started to see how wrong I was. It was truly heartbreaking. I don't know if I cried as much in my whole life as I did in the first months in her office. After about $2,000 of therapy sessions, I learned that my ex-husband had his faults, but I figured out that mine were so much worse. I did so many awful things and said awful things that I wouldn't want to be with me, but he did. I still remember him
Lord knows why.
In the meeting with the lawyer to please not go through with it. I did go through with it though. And then later I bragged on here how great it felt. I was so wrong, and now I can see it. A couple weeks ago, when he was leaving the house, I asked him about getting
He better have said no.
When he looked at me, his eyes were full of tears, and a couple went down his cheeks. He told me that he didn't know if he could.
Okay.
He said that the pain has been too much for too long.
Okay.
And that if we got back together, that I might just turn around and do it to him.
Yes.
He said that he always thought that I would realize how much he loved me and stop up until I signed the divorce papers.
Yeah, but you went through it.
A big, over-exaggerated sigh of relief. He said that hurt him more than anything else, and that he doesn't know if he can ever trust me again.
Big true.
I don't blame him. I destroyed a man who, looking back, was a great husband. I deprived my kids of having a great father in the house with them, and I took his kids away from him. And me, the one who pushed for the divorce, expecting happiness and a life of freedom,
it's not reality.
Spend all my free time sitting at home,
lonely,
or sitting on a therapist's couch. If your marriage is bad, look at yourself first and see if you can make changes. This is advice for men and women. Getting divorced is not fun. being divorced is not fun. And seeing your husband broken and your children never happy because of your actions is the most painful experience that I can imagine.
Alright guys, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So yeah, you've heard everything for yourself. This is one of the craziest and saddest divorce stories I have ever come across. Yes, I felt really sad for her ex-husband. You could tell that the man was so much in love with her and he was going through pains when she decided to leave him, despite all the effort he made to make the relationship stand. Now this is a perfect example of you don't know what you have until you lose it. My question here is, why do women treat their husbands like trash immediately they start earning more money than their husband? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't think I will ever understand why women do that. And this woman's case is even different because her husband actually had a job. He was working. He was even helping her with the house chores and the kids. So why were you treating him like that? Because he wasn't earning more money. This is not fair, guys. It isn't. And I'm super excited that he didn't go back to her, because if she was able to betray you like that, then she clearly doesn't deserve a second chance. Now guys, at this point, let me just go ahead and read some of the comments that came in. Let's see what people had to say about this sad and annoying divorce story. The first comment says, let's be honest, she still doesn't care about the ex-husband or the kids. Her only regret is that there was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Well, I agree with this comment 100%. I understand this guy. He wasn't doing it for her, but for the kids and the family. Selflessness is always the best. Of course, he's a very, very good guy. Very, very good. I'm over here crying for this man. This woman was possessed or something. She was so heartless. I pray this man meets a nice woman after her. How could she not get emotional while telling the story at no point in time? She's a narcissist without remorse or empathy. Okay? I can actually relate to a whole lot of that. One thing I will give her credit for, she basically admitted that it was all her fault. This is something that very few women will ever do. Well, that's true. That has to be one of the saddest stories I have ever heard. She completely ripped an entire family apart for no reason. Never mind the fact that it was her own family. Her poor kids too. So selfish. Oh yeah, of course, she's a very selfish person and a narcissist as well. I just can't believe the way she is explaining how evil she was during the end of her relationship, and she's the one who destroyed the marriage. Crazy. Alright guys, that is all for the comments. This is what people think. Let me know what you also think in the comment section. Let's get interactive. And please don't forget to like this video and share it for me. And subscribe to this channel for more similar contents. I promise you will love it here. Please stay safe out there. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.